You've never won a Premier League game at St James's Park, so
Yeah.
what makes it such a difficult ground to go to?
I don't know. No, it's true. I think it's the only stadium that in the Premier League. Also Huddersfield, but Huddersfield I played there only once. I think it's difficult. Honestly, I always felt beautiful matches, but difficult matches. I like to go there. I like the feeling of going to Mr. Robson's home. I like that feeling. I like the stadium. I think the stadium is really nice. I like the atmosphere. They are a good, enthusiastic crowd. I like the Geordies. I like to go there. But, you know, I couldn't win. I lost and I drew a few times. I hope tomorrow the result, tomorrow, after tomorrow. I hope the result is different, but I know that the characteristics of the game are not going to be different. I think they are a good team. I think they had a very good transfer window with Kennedy and Slimani. They are two players that I know very well, and they really can improve their team. Benitez knows how to get points, so I think it's going to be difficult.
Jose, you've been here long enough to know that Newcastle obviously are a big club, but they're almost permanently in crisis for one reason or another.
Yeah, but they are a big club.
It's not easy to manage that club, though.
I believe, but I'm not the person to say why, because what I know from the club is the incredible army of fans, a city that lives for the club and supports the club. Normally good players, normally good managers. I can remember many of them, some of the best ones in the country. Benitez, another example. So it's difficult to understand, but if you ask me if I think Newcastle are going to be in the Championship next season, I say immediately no way. I think they know how to get the points to stay in the division.
Jose, Luke Shaw's played his way back into your thinking. Is he in line for a new contract, and how often is it that a player you've had has been able to change your mind?
With Luke, it's not about changing my mind. With Luke, it's just the evolution or no evolution of his potential. Like I think you say, fulfill the potential, right? It's just about that, because I know Shaw since he arrived in the Premier League with Southampton, and I know his potential, his quality. Could he come in my direction in the way I think football, in the way I like my players to be, not just on the pitch but also during the training week. And he made a big effort. He's now for a few months free of these minor injuries that sometimes stop evolution, and I'm really happy. So I think the natural consequence of it is that he will have his contract, and he will be a Manchester United player for years. Can you help me?
Jose, how's
him?
Yeah, this one.
I have to follow her.
Okay.
Jose, how's the squad looking heading to this game? And there's been some off-field distractions in Spain for some of your players. Have you noticed anything with those players involved?
No, the squad is good. Everything is Everything is fine. Eric Bailly, Daley Blind, the two players that are out. Zlatan start training with the team 2 days ago, so 2 days with the group and improving. We are fine.
You praised the way Paul Pogba reacted when he came on last weekend. What kind of reaction have you seen from him this week in training? And do you feel now you know his best position, his most effective position within the team structure?
You know, Paul, as I was saying, had a very professional behavior, and the week was not different, but was not different than what Paul is every week. Paul is a good professional. Paul works well. Paul likes to train. I never had one single problem with him regarding his professionalism, because he really is a very good trainer. He's one of the guys that likes to train and enjoy to train. In relation to his best position, I had a few laughing over the past week, because I heard, I watched, I had the chance to read a few things, and I'm not English, but I think I understand English enough to understand what you want to say with box to box. But with some comments from, you know, important people in football, I got a little bit confused. Because for me, box to box means box to box, and means you have to be good in this box, you have to be good in this road, and you have to be good in that box. Means that you have to defend well in this box. You must have the physical condition, the desire, the intensity, the stamina to go until the other box. In the other box, you have to be good scoring, creating, heading, and so on and so on. And then, when your team loses the ball, you have to go to the other box. Because I think this is the meaning of the box to box. But this week I become a bit confused when some people say a box to box has to play free of defensive duties. That's not a box to box. That's a box in the box and stay in that box and doesn't move from that box. I got a bit confused. I think this country produced a lot of amazing box to box players. I had the pleasure to coach some of them, but I think nowadays, with some pundits, some agents, some family members, I think the concept of the box to box is changing a little bit. I think now it looks like we are going to a different concept of box to box. Box to box is not my word, of course. I heard it for the first time in 2004 when I arrived. For me, with my Portuguese and trying just to translate to the English, I just think midfield players. And for me, Paul is a midfield player. He's not a left back, he's not a striker. So when people ask what's the best position for Paul to play, Paul is a midfield player. Paul is a midfield player. Depends on the tactical system the team plays. You can play with 2, you can play with 1, you can play with 3, but he will be always a midfield player. Doesn't matter the tactical system the team plays. For me, Pogba is a midfield player. You know, but then with so many opinions, and we are in a world of opinions, people can get a little bit confused, but between me and Paul there are no confusions. He is a midfield player, and that's it. And the midfield player, it's difficult to find a midfield player with more potential than Paul has, because Paul has everything.
Okay, can we move on to the Sundays
Well, you
now?
say
Thank
potential.
you.
Should he not be more than potential? He should be the finished article. Because should he not be more than potential, Paul Pogba? He should be the finished player now because, you know... he's
With
paid-
23
well,
or 24 years old?
Euros 2016 final, Champions League final. Your sort of main midfielder, should he not maybe be more finished?
I think every player is in evolution until the end of his career. Of course, when you are a young kid, you have more to develop, you have more to learn, but until the end of your career, I think a player has things to learn, has things to improve, has things to adapt. You know, I don't see a problem on that.